notice that you don't have to spend ages waiting and waiting to put your hand up to speak. If you do want to speak in front of the rest of the class, then of course you'll need to do that. But that's not the main way in which we communicate. You'll notice that about 2/3 of the lesson, or the equivalent of 2/3 of the lesson, is broken up into pair work. And the idea is that you with a partner are speaking in that foreign language. And that increases how much comes out of the average mouth in the classroom. If you always had to wait in order to put your hand up, in order to be invited to speak, you may only get to speak every 2 or 3 lessons. However, if about 2/3 of the lesson is done in pairs, then it frees me up to go around and listen to you all and to correct you, encourage you, and so on. But also it means that you have much greater opportunity to practice these new words and phrases, and that's what will make them stick, and not just to parrot them back as if you were some sort of digital recorder, but rather that you learn to be creative with the language and say what you want to say. So what I want you to do then is to make sure during the lesson that you take part in all demonstration parts of the activity, and you watch those carefully, because that's exactly what you're going to have to do next with a partner. And then when you get down to pair work, you get down to it straight away, committing yourself to speaking only in the foreign language, keeping an eye on the screen, because all of the phrases and expressions that you need in order to keep going will be there, and asking me for help whenever you need it, okay? And then, only then, would you be expected to say anything in front of other people. But by that point, you've already had several opportunities to practice it and get your tongue around it. And if, of course, you say something and you get it wrong, it really doesn't matter. A very important part of language learning is that you need to allow yourself to make mistakes. Because as we make mistakes, we learn to laugh at ourselves, but also we remember what the correct version is. And that's the sort of thing that you can include in future things that you say. If you are a visual learner, you'll find it particularly useful that we use colours. We use blue for masculine and red for feminine when we're doing adjective endings or writing nouns down. I often use green for verb endings, and if you do the same thing, that will help you to remember them. We're also going to concentrate on the shapes of words, and you'll notice in class that I'll show you parts of words, and we'll often show a sentence gradually as I move bits of card across the sentence. That's a very important activity because that helps you to predict what you're going to see next as you start to think about context and how a sentence is made up. There will be pictures, and we'll ask you to match things up with pictures ever such a lot, because if you can get that visual element in your memory, that will help you to recall words at speed. What about auditory learners? Well, those of you who learn best through what you hear, you'll enjoy the fact that we shout things, whisper things, sing things, say things to a rhythm. We'll sing songs, we'll miss words out, and others will have to put them back in. We'll say things in a funny way. There'll be lots of things to help you to remember how the words sound. So there'll be lots of that as well, and that goes together with what you see. And then finally, what about the kinesthetic learners? Well, for those of you who need to move around, there's plenty for you too. So often there'll be cards to move around on a table, or cards to put in the correct order, or cards to match up with other cards, cards to put into categories. But very, very often we will be doing actions to accompany words. These hand gestures, we may be jumping up and down, we may be bending over, we may be clapping our hands or making shapes with our fingers. All of these things will help you as a memory hook. And for some people who are not kinesthetic, that may seem very strange, but I would ask you whether you are or whether you're not kinesthetic to join in with that. And for those for whom it's something very necessary, they're not going to feel all exposed and isolated and on show. They're going to feel part of the group as well. with what you can see and what you can hear and what you can do, if you put all of those things together, it will help you to learn and to remember and to recall lots and lots of language. And that's very important, because of course you can't apply what you can't remember. If we can get you to remember it first, then we can get you to look for patterns and to work out how to operate in the language in a grammatical way as well. So, good luck, bonne chance, buena suerte, and give it your best shot. And if you can commit to communicating only in the foreign language, you will notice that you make progress very, very quickly indeed.